Hello. The 279th day of the heroic resistance of the Ukrainian people to a Russian military large-scale invasion continues. Russian occupiers continue their armed aggression against Ukraine. They do not stop striking civilian infrastructure objects. The enemy is trying to hold the temporarily captured territories, concentrates its efforts on restraining the actions of units of the defense forces of Ukraine, carries out engineering equipment of defensive lines and positions, continues to conduct offensive actions in certain directions. The transfer of personnel and military equipment of the enemy to equip units that have suffered losses, as well as the formation of new units and units, continues. During the day, the enemy launched a rocket attack on civilian objects in the settlement of Kivsharivka, Kharkiv Oblast, carried out 26 airstrikes and 10 MLRS attacks on the positions of our troops. There is still a threat of the enemy launching missile strikes against critical infrastructure facilities deep within the territory of Ukraine. In the Volyn and Polotsk directions, the situation remains without significant changes. No signs of the formation of enemy offensive groups have been detected. The Republic of Belarus continues to support the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, provides its territory and airspace for launching missile and airstrikes. Enemy units are conducting demonstration and provocative actions on the Russian-Ukrainian border in the Siversky direction in the border areas of the Bryansk and Kursk regions. The enemy fired mortars and barrel artillery, in particular in the areas of Yanzilivka, Mykolaievka, Halahanivka of Chernihiv Oblast and Vilna Sloboda of Sumy Oblast. In the Slobozansk direction, in the border areas of the Belgorod region, the enemy continues to hold groups of its troops, fired from tanks, mortars and barrel artillery in the areas of settlements of Streleka, Plybok, Zelin, Staritsa, Ohertseve, Vovchansk, Budarka, and Barn of the Kharkiv Oblast. In the areas of the settlements of Zelin and Budarka, the enemy used attack drones. The enemy is defending in the Kupiansk and Lyman directions. It carried out shelling from tanks and the entire range of artillery in the areas of Orlyansk, Kislivka, Kotlyarivka, Tabaivka, Pishchain of Kharkiv Oblast and Novoselivsk, Stelmakivka, Myasozarivka, Makiivka, Nevsk of Luhansk Oblast, as well as Yampolivka, Torsky, Bozern of Donetsk Oblast. In the Bakhmut and Avdiivka areas, the enemy continues to focus its main efforts on conducting offensive operations. Fired tanks, mortars, barrel and rocket artillery in the areas of Siversk, Verkhnokamiansk, Spern, Berestov, Bilohorivka, Yakovlivka, Bakhmutsk, Soldar, Andrivka, Vadiane, Krasnohorivka, Mariinka, Novomykhailivka settlements of the Donetsk Oblast. In the Novopavlivka direction, the enemy fired artillery of various types at the positions of the defense forces of Ukraine and the areas of the settlements of Volodar, Neskiny, and Prikostivka of the Donetsk Oblast. The enemy is conducting defensive operations in the Zaporizhzhia direction, conducted shelling from tanks, mortars, barrel and rocket artillery positions of the defense forces of Ukraine and areas of populated areas of Novopil, Donetsk Oblast, Alhivsk, Dorozhnyanka, Cherivn, Hulayapilsk, Malotokmachka, Mali Sherbeki of the Zaporizhzhia Oblast, as well as Vermivka, Chervon of the Kherson Oblast. In the vicinity of the settlements of Novopil and Vermivka of the Donetsk Oblast, the enemy used an attack UAV. The enemy is conducting a positional defense in the Kryvyi Rih and Kherson areas. Artillery shelling of units of Ukrainian troops and settlements on the right bank of the Dnipro River, in particular the city of Kherson, does not stop. On November 27th, it was confirmed that the Russian occupiers' manpower concentration areas were hit by fire in the settlements of Palahi, Tokmak, and Bazin in the Zaporizhzhia Oblast and Lutuhine in the Luhansk Oblast. The losses of the enemy amounted to 470 people wounded. About 50 units of military equipment of various types and ammunition storage were destroyed. During the current day, the aviation of the defense forces of Ukraine carried out 9 strikes on the areas of concentration of personnel, weapons and military equipment, and the positions of the anti-aircraft missile complex of the Russian occupiers. Believe in the armed forces of Ukraine. We will win. Glory to Ukraine. Let's keep in touch.